Now, as announced, folks, we have our chief of patrol here in the greatest police department on the planet. How many times have you heard me say that? Gerard Harding. He's the chief of patrol, and the chief wanted to come on and talk about tomorrow. Many of you are parents and grandparents. You have written in, texted me, or called on the show, expressing concern under the present state of circumstances that are going out there, the craziness is going out there, how to best protect our children, and what we mean by Halloween safety. But let me welcome the Chief of Patrol, Gerard Harding. Chief, how are you?
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me today. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and talk to your listeners.
Yeah, I mean, people are concerned. We got a lot, believe it or not, Chief, we got a lot of grandparents that take the grandchildren because their sons and daughters are out working, and tomorrow is the big day. We all remember as children how Halloween was so special. My own nephew is going to be the Hulk from that TV series, and he'll be going out. So we're concerned. What are your thoughts? I mean, again, we have a great police department, as certainly as you well know. We have a great patrol division. They're always out there looking and so on, and they do such great things in terms of helping people and saving people. And we've talked about some of the great officers that we have out on the street. But what should people look out for, Chief?
So listen, tomorrow is going to be a great day. We have a great weather forecast for tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Hopefully everyone's going to really enjoy it. The kids up to teenagers, obviously it's a big day for everybody. From a police department perspective, this is my 32nd year doing this work, so I'm well versed in it. But what we want to do is obviously our priorities are to keep people safe, particularly our little kids and our pedestrians on the roads. Halloween traditionally is nationally a very dangerous day to be on the road as a pedestrian. AAA data from 2017 to 2021 basically revealed that we had 49 children, under the age of 17 killed on Halloween in the last 5 years. Thankfully, I don't have any numbers for Suffolk. We've been pretty lucky, but it is a very dangerous day to be walking around. As you know, cell phones and distracted driving, that's a problem we face every day. So on Halloween, my main message is really for the kids and for the parents that are going to be, taking everyone around trick-or-treating to be, situationally aware. So as a pedestrian, you can stay off your cell phones. Obviously, I would encourage trick-or-treating during the day rather than in the evening after dark. I do know that people do go out after dark. If it is something that you plan on doing, I would say, obviously, when you're crossing roadways, be visible, reflective clothing, crosswalks, cross in well-lit areas, travel in groups for the little kids to have a parent around. And I would also ask our drivers. Obviously, everyone knows tomorrow's Halloween, and a lot of us are parents. Grandparents, we all have families, so I would ask people to be good neighbors and to really, look out for the little ones out on the roadways tomorrow.
I mean, these are things. I was just jotting down a few things so we can repeat them again tomorrow. It sounds to what you're saying, Chief, is this is a community event. Let's say you're an individual, you don't have any kids, you're not going out trick-or-treating, but you're a driver. You have to really be aware, too. I mean, essentially, that's what you're saying, is that it's not just the parents and the grandparents that are out with the kids. It's everybody. It's everybody involved, Chief.
100%. And it's funny you say that because my kids are a little bit older now. I'm older, so my kids are actually driving age. I have a high school age kid. And my message is basically to my kids every year at Halloween, hey, listen, there's a lot of people out on the road today. There's a lot of little kids. Slow down. Pay attention to where you are. Keep your eyes moving back and forth. Let's prevent a tragedy. Not, we don't want to see someone, driver, have to live with something like that for the rest of their lives. So I would ask people to just be good neighbors and to slow down and look out for our little kids.
When the folks heard that you were coming on and we were going to talk about just this, Halloween safety. And again, I'm hearing from so many people, our regular listeners, the people that call in about an array of topics. But yes, everybody seems to be involved in this, grandchildren, children, and they're going to be out there. But I did get a call from one mom, and she said, my whole life, I took my kids out trick-or-treating, and then when I was a young child, I did the same thing. And she said something that I wanted to bring up with you, is that, and I don't mean to bring this up in the sense that this could certainly make people rethink what they're doing. But what about the articles that are put into the kids' baskets? People are concerned that everybody's mentioning the fentanyl, and somehow could that be there? We think about that 1-year-old baby that died in the Bronx at the daycare center. We look at things like that, and people are concerned about this. And I've got more than one phone call on this for me to raise this issue with you. How desperate is this, and what should parents do? I mean, when I heard it really chilled me a little bit when I heard it. I just want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up, and actually that was something I was going to address during the conversation. We did have 2 incidents in Suffolk last year involving tampered candy. Well, one was actually tampered candy. It was a Three Musketeer bar that a high school age student, when they got home, ended up finding a razor embedded in the chocolate. Thankfully, they didn't eat it or ingest it, so we averted a problem there. We did have a 5-year-old in Shirley last year. We believe it was accidental. We don't believe there was any intent, but they ended up getting basically cannabis-infused candy that looked like Starburst. And the child, the 5-year-old, ended up ingesting 4 of these and had to seek medical treatment. So my advice on that, listen, this is a major concern. Fentanyl is a huge concern. I would have people really, try to limit where you trick or treat. My thing when my kids were younger was always going to houses where we knew people, staying in the neighborhood, staying close to home, and basically, knowing the people that you're getting the candy from. And then listen, as a parent, and even with teenage kids at this point, I mean, some of the stuff on the cannabis side is designed to look like candy. So it actually has warnings on the labels, but it could very easily be mistook for cannabis. So I would say, as a parent, especially with younger kids, you definitely want to, inspect that candy before you allow your kids to eat it. And I would even have the teenagers inspecting the candy closely.
Exactly. So let's, I want the folks to really listen to that, underscore what you just said, because I think if that word got out and that message got out, we could prevent some of this from happening. In fact, it would be great if you could come on the program in the next week or so and say we had 0% incidences reported here in Suffolk County, because that is the fear that so many people have, particularly when it comes down to when they essentially recreational use of marijuana in New York State. They made a lot of this stuff that somehow could enter into the trick or treat baskets that are out there. Do you think parents should, again, first of all, I want to, again, underscore one more point that you made regarding it'd be kind of nice to go to people that you know. I think that's
absolutely.
And I want to underscore that to the folks out there, because I know this is being highly listened to, because so many people are concerned about this, and it's more this year than it was just last year and the year before. There seems to be a heightened alert to this, Chief. Any reason why? Do you think? I've heard it more now than I did last year when we did a similar type program.
I think it has to do with current events and stuff getting out in the news, and people are more cognizant of these events like the one you referred to in the Bronx with the 1-year-old. Another suggestion I'd have connected to, going to places that you can trust is, I know there's a lot of community locations where you can actually trick-or-treat, like in a community, like I know Stony Brook Village has a trick-or-treating event that they host every year on Halloween. And there's localized community stuff based where people can go to stores, or they run events where kids can trick-or-treat and know that what they're getting is legit and safe.
Is it analytical? I remember when I was on the job, it was almost analytical on Halloween night. We had extra patrols on and things of that nature. Is it based on an analytical, data driven? I'm trying to be as modern as possible with my terminology, but essentially looking at specific areas where you think you need to assign assets to.
Oh, absolutely. So what we do is we put out every year a Halloween order from the patrol divisions. It's basically like a loose TAC plan. And what we do is we deploy extra resources every year on Halloween. Tomorrow's going to be a big one because the weather's going to be nice, so we're anticipating bigger crowds, obviously. But we take some of our plainclothes units that are assigned to the patrol division. We actually put them in uniform for the night, put them out in marked units, and we hire extra bodies to make sure that we have available resources to handle whatever comes our way. And yes, speaking to your point earlier, generally call volume is what drives a lot of what we do and how we deploy resources. So generally on Halloween, we get more call volume. What I would say is, in addition to the safety part of it for listeners with older kids, one thing that always, and you're aware of it, it's time and eternity, but kids like to go out, and the older kids especially like to have fun. So, eggs, shaving cream, vandalism, although it seems like it's a fun thing to do, and I'm sure people get laughs out of it, it's connected to real people and real property, and there's real damage associated with that. So if you have listeners who have older kids, I would suggest, listen, we want everyone to have fun, we want everyone to be safe, but if you do engage in criminal behavior, and that's exactly what that is, that people will be held accountable. So we don't want to see people get hurt or people's property get damaged. Yeah. That's why another reason why we put out extra patrols, particularly in the evening hours.
Yeah, it definitely brings a stress level to the parent that participates in this, which everybody does. I mean, we all have our memories going back to, as children, and not so younger children too. When we were out there on this October 31st, everybody's always they talk as Halloween is a very special event, and it should be. Just again, going back to what's being put into the basket itself. There's the old adage, well, if it's all wrapped up and it's a well-known piece of candy or something like that, that's the ones that should be kept, and anything else that's suspect should be discarded. Is that still, part of the mantra?
Yeah, no, that's excellent advice, and I was actually going to touch on that earlier, but yes, my kids were younger, obviously a few years back, but we were very vigilant when they would come home. My wife and I would go through the bags and find out what they had, and anything that looked opened or tampered with, or even some of that off-brand stuff that I just didn't know what it was, went right into the garbage. So, obviously, physically inspect stuff to make sure it has been opened. And then I would also say, obviously, this year we have added stuff to look for, which is stuff that is coming off looking like candy, but is actually maybe a cannabis-infused gummy or something. So. Yeah. That really requires extra vigilance, and that's stuff that could be missed by a lot of people. So I would tell people to really look at that stuff. I'd also advise, if you're a parent, when the kids are trick or treating, I know they get something that looks really exciting. They start eating stuff in the middle of trick or treating. If you can tell them to hold off on that until they get home, so that everyone can go through it together. That's probably some good advice. Yeah,
that's excellent advice. And again, I'm so glad we're putting this out over the air, because again, I'm hopeful that when you report back to us, that you report 0% interest incidences that have taken place. Before I let you go, it's the first time you're really on the program. Again, if you're just joining us, Chief of Patrol Gerard Hardy. Really head of the patrol division, the largest division of our police department, and the ones that many of us come in contact with when we're talking to our police officers. And I know some people may look at this as a slanted statement, but what do you attribute to success to Suffolk County, our police department? It's highly popular. We have taken polls. People love the cops out here. There's no two ways about it. We see other things happening around the country. But the success that we have here in Suffolk County, you have 30 plus years of experience. Obviously, you can speak from a whole volume of information and experience that you've had. We've had some great success. What do you attribute it to, Chief?
I think it really comes down to, from the beginning, when we post an exam, we really attract highly qualified people, and we have an applicant investigation section that does very thorough checks to make sure that the officers are quality individuals with high moral character. And then we run a wonderful academy that's almost 7 months, where they're exposed to everything, training tactics, compassion, dealing with crisis situations. So we have a very young patrol division right now at the moment. We have a lot of young police officers that have just come out in the last couple of years, and I'm very happy to say that the feedback from the precinct inspectors and from what I'm actually witnessing, we have a really young professional group of individuals out there serving our community.
Yeah, and I think that's an important underscore right there to say, particularly the younger people, the 7 month academy, almost 7 month academy, just has really put us in the right spot. If you had to look back on your career, again, we're lucky. We're lucky to have administrators such as you who have had the breadth of experience. You've probably been in most of the precincts and the special commands and so on. So what would you say was the highlight of your career? And don't say being chief of patrol.
No, actually, that would probably be towards the bottom of the list. Obviously, listen, it's a great job, but I love my time in the precincts, and I love my time working with my fellow officers. I worked in the 3rd Precinct for almost 9 years as a police officer, and had a tremendous time there. I worked with some of the most professional people that I've ever met. I call them friends. I call them coworkers, but it really is. And I know, because you are a former police officer, it's a family.
Yeah.
It really is. My son is got a year on the job now. He works in the 5th precinct in the Patchogue area.
Wow.
And it was that was a great moment for me to see him graduate from the academy and to raise his right hand and take the oath. So I love being a police officer, and looking back when you're in your early 20s and 30s and everything's so new and so exciting and everything's in front of you, that was just great memories.
Yeah, that brings a smile to my face, because I'm thinking exactly what you're just saying and what it's all about. We've had on this program some of the recent events that have taken place. Officers jumping in to the Forge River to save a woman who drove in, and there was another incident over there in Patchogue. And this happens all the time, Chief. And you and I'm sure, feel the same frustration. It doesn't get the headlines that it should, and that the other 1% of what people want to talk about, or 1% of what the media wants to cover. But we have a lot of that here in Suffolk County, or the acts of heroism that have taken place. And the one, I think it was in the Forge River, the officers afterwards, they're soaking wet, and they jumped in this river and they pulled this woman out who was trapped in the car, and then they take a picture together. You got to love it, Chief. You got to love it. Thoughts?
I do love it, and I have to tell you, you're 100% right. We don't see the day-to-day work that our officers do. They do incredible stuff, from the compassion that they show on car stops and dealing with aided cases and people in crisis to domestics. It's that day-to-day stuff where you really see that professionalism, that caring attitude come through. And for your average person, that does not get highlighted. It's the more dramatic events. It's saving someone in a river, but I mean that's obviously incredible stuff. But just day to day, going through their day and handling each call with professionalism and integrity is what really makes me proud as the Chief of Patrol to see.
And, it comes out in your demeanor right now. Obviously, you've been through the ranks. People would call you a cop's cop. In other words, supporting the great work that your officers are doing, because I think that means a lot. And it comes out here in Suffolk County. They've taken polls. Over 90% of the people in Suffolk County have an extremely positive view of the Suffolk County Police Department. And when you look at the largest division, obviously, is patrol. And being the Chief of Patrol, obviously, has some good feelings. So, Chief, it was great having you on the show. We certainly do appreciate it. Maybe we can get you on again soon, my friend.
I would love to, Tom. Thanks for having me, and I hope everyone has a safe and enjoyable Halloween tomorrow.
Okay, terrific. Thanks. Once again, Chief of Patrol Gerard Hardy, talking about Halloween safety. And let's really underscore what the Chief has said. If you're going to be out there with the grandchildren, I'm getting a lot of calls from grandparents. They have the kids tomorrow because mom and dad are working, and they're going to be out there trick-or-treating. Just be extremely careful. Again, use every effort to know the houses that you're going to. But if it's during the day, you're okay. Make sure you look all around you. This is all common sense stuff. If it's going to be after dark, and it is getting